Hey everybody, it's me, your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and it's October 1st, and today's the day where I start my 31 days of the Houses October Built Part 2 Marathon Watch. Continuing what I did last year, where I watched this movie's predecessor, The Houses October Built, 31 days in a row for the month of October. It was a fun little challenge I wanted to do for spooky season, and I had a great time with it. Every day, I either put out a long video or a little YouTube short on what I gained from each viewing experience. And it was pretty interesting and fun to do. I didn't get sick of the film at all because I was finding stuff to dissect, the characters, the scenes, come up with theories and whatnot. So it was a great time. What really surprised me, though, is that actually gave me the opportunity to interview Zach Andrews, producer and star of the film, in my own home. Never did I think that would have been possible, and I really can't thank Zach enough for giving me the opportunity to perform that interview. And of course, he asked me if I was going to do the sequel, and I think I'm going to have to do the sequel. So it's going to be a lot of fun for the next 31 days as I watch The Houses October Built Part 2 every single day. Real quick note, the original Houses October Built, the one that came out in 2011, not the one that came out in 2014, which I watched. There was an original one in 2011, a little bit different from the one in 2014. That one from 2011 gave this group of people the opportunity to make the one from 2014. As of October 1st, you can watch that film on Shudder, so go check it out right now. I definitely plan on doing it because I haven't seen the 2011 version yet, so I am pretty excited to check that out. I do enjoy the way this movie starts, picking up right after The Houses October Built left off, where we were left on a cliffhanger, not knowing what happened to anybody in the group. This movie starts, we see Brandy being let out of a trunk of a car, and she's given some tapes of the footage that was captured. Then we jump to 1 year later, and it's kind of odd that I'm doing this exactly 1 year later, where we get the return of everybody in our group: Brandy, Zach, Bobby, Mikey, and Jeff. Now, since this was my first view of 31 times watching this film, I didn't want to go too much into dissecting the film. I just wanted to kind of enjoy it, since we're going to have a lot of time to dissect it, break down the scenes and the characters, and see what I can come up with talk about every single day. So I just wanted to enjoy myself because I've only seen this film maybe twice, and I hadn't seen it in well over a year. So one thing that I found interesting when I turned this movie on like at 3:50 this morning, I immediately felt comfortable again with a tinge of excitement on getting ready to start this marathon watch all over again, watching the same movie again and again. Because I think last year I got to know those characters so well. Watching them again, dissecting this movie, it was actually a lot of fun. So when I started, I was like, man, I think this is going to be another fun 31 days. I wasn't dreading it. I'm actually looking forward to it as I progress over the next month. As I said, I like the way the movie's set up. It's 1 year later, and they kind of want to do the same thing again since they got so much publicity for the year prior. But things really aren't hitting the same as they did when they first did this, because Brandy is still somewhat traumatized from what happened to her a year prior. She's got all these like little requirements, like, hey, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. And the guys are trying to convince her and coax her to doing this again, because obviously, she really went through hell at the end of that last movie. One part I do like is they went to an escape room in this film, which looks very cool. And this is where we get our first mention of Seek Out Hellbent, which is an anagram of the Blue Skeleton, a group we got very familiar with in The Houses October Built. Just like in part one, the group of friends are moving from haunt to haunt, visiting real-life haunted attractions throughout the United States, with the addition of a drone this time, which really adds a very interesting aspect to the film, adds realism, because technology is going to evolve, and I like how they incorporated that into the film. Say, hey, technology's evolved, so hey, let's use this drone, because you get some really cool, interesting drone shots with this film, which added to the realism of it. Because all these haunts they visit are real. All the competitors, all the patrons, all the workers at these haunts are 100% authentic. There's really not too many quote-unquote actors in this film. One point I enjoyed was the brain eating competition with competitive eater Kobayashi, who's a legend in the competitive eating field. I did enjoy afterwards because Bobby and Mike took part in this real life brain eating competition that they used in the movie, and I get a kick out of gagging and puking in films. I find it kind of funny. So I did find it funny with Bobby and Mike actually vomiting up these brains, since they 100% took part in this real competition. Again, it just adds to the realism of the film. That's why I enjoy it so much. And this film does continue to do what I really love about found footage movies when it's done right and executed properly, when it's explained while they're still filming. if you're going to have a found footage type film, documentary style film, you have to, convince the audience why these people are still filming. And just like with part one, part two does that exceptionally well. It explains why they're filming. And that's what you really need in a found footage film. I do love the ending of this film, even more so than part one, I believe. It really ended with a big shock to the system. I'm like, I thought the story was over, but when I did my interview with Stack, I asked him, I'm like, is there room for another movie? Could you make it a trilogy? He said there is more of the story to tell. So over the next 31 days, I'm going to try and come up with some theories as to where I think they can go with this story. And I think I could be kind of interesting because he did say there is more story to tell. So I'm going to try and figure out what that more of the story can actually be. So that's all for now because I'm going to have a lot of time to talk about this movie over this next month. Please hit that subscribe button, notification bell so you don't miss any of my daily videos on the 31 Days of the Houses October Built Part 2 Marathon Watch, as well as my Nails in a Coffin series and my Horror Movie Superlative series. Lots of great content coming out every single week, and definitely one video on the Houses October Built Part 2 every single day. Should be a lot of fun. I hope you take this journey with me. Everybody take care of yourselves, take care of each other, enjoy spooky season. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete. Remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.